When I think desktop computers, I have typically thought about those classic pizza box size units that many of us use to make our monitor sit up a little bit higher in the days before you could easily adjust a monitor with the included stand. But this EliteDesk Mini 800 from HP sort of defies that pizza box look and feel and gives you something that is actually smaller than the corporate phone that sits on my desk. And it does so without giving up any of the power and flexibility that you would want from a computing solution. I mean, you start with the small form factor and the fact that it only uses 8 watts of power when it's sitting idle, which if you look at operational costs across organizations, one of the big ones that everybody is trying to reduce is power consumption, because it's one of the few things that organizations actually have a fair amount of control over if they're thoughtful in planning with the purchases that they make and the way that they use their space. Being light on power usage when it's not in use doesn't mean that it can't do powerful things for you. Take, for instance, the fact that it has 3 ports on the back here for connecting monitors. You could, in theory, connect 3 separate monitors and use 3 screens all at once. Not that you would necessarily need to, but there's lots of scenarios where I'm doing some data analysis and I need to synthesize that data, and so I will have a Excel spreadsheet up on one screen and then whatever I'm using to compose a summary on the other screen, and that way I can quickly reference back and forth the data that I'm looking at and the presentation that I'm trying to make. And so at least having 2 screens in that scenario is very useful. This gives you as many as 3 if you need it. There's an Ethernet connection, but there also is an option to get wireless. This particular unit comes with wireless. This little plastic piece right here actually covers up the wireless antenna. And 4 gigabytes of RAM under the hood of this particular unit that I have in my hand, expandable up to 16 gigabytes. And again, I'll show you how you can do that when I take the cover off the top. I have found that it's easier to take this apart if you flip it over. So I'm going to flip it over, and then I will flip it back over. And inside, you can see that there's actually not a whole lot to see inside, because the majority of the features are like baked into the board itself. But the things you can service, if you were to take this heatsink off here, you could, in theory, replace the processor. Then the hard drive, of course, could be replaced or upgraded. To do that, you've got to pull the power first and pull the connection for the serial ATA, and then it just pops right out. And no screws, nothing. Just you pull back this little lever, pull it right out, and then you can see underneath the hard drive is where the memory is stored. And again, I said this has 4 gigabytes in this one. You could go all the way up to 16 with it. There you have it, the EliteDesk Mini 800. It's a great little form factor that uses very low power, but continues to provide all the power that your organization would need to get work done.